Ladies and gentlemen, one thing about COVID-19, it shows us how good this system really is. And now we're seeing it's not very good at all. Unemployment has been an utter disaster in America. There are so many people that have applied, never got an answer, or you're waiting and waiting. You got paid once and then no more checks, no more deposits. It has been a mess. I have heard so many issues with unemployment. I guess once it reaches a certain amount of people, they just can't handle it very well. So this came out in Bloomberg, May 15th, 2020. Millions in US are on edge waiting for jobless benefits. You know, mm, they don't even want you calling. I know on the site that we go to, they don't want you call, they don't want you calling. So millions of Americans who are owed tens of billions of dollars in unemployment benefits are still waiting to receive the help they have been promised 2 months after the COVID-19 pandemic unleashed a historic wave of layoffs. Even as job losses continue to mount, states that have ramped up staffing and deployed new computer systems are struggling to handle a surge that has seen 36.5 million people, about 1 in 5 American workers, filed for unemployment since mid March. The result is that a key element of the US unprecedented fiscal response is running into problems that highlight the difficulty of getting money to people who need it to weather the crisis. And not to mention that little teensy bit of money that people are getting. You got to be kidding me. And you can't even get that to people quickly. The delayed payments also help explain why frustrations is growing in the state lockdowns and clashing with fresh warnings from public health officials that a pandemic that has claimed more than 85,000 lives in the US remains a major risk. Bloomberg News contacted all 50 states this week, and less than half provided figures on how many people had been paid the benefits they were owed. But in those states alone, at least 5 million initial claims filed were yet to be paid. The gap between the initial claim reported March 15th to May 2nd and continuing claims is now more than 10 million people. Economists typically use continuing claims to calculate the number of people actually receiving benefits because the US system normally only pays people after they have made the first weekly certification that they are still without work. For basically 6 weeks, I've received nothing, said Scott Ross, who spent 7 years working 60 hours a week as a restaurant manager in Eldersburg, Maryland. He was let go at the end of March as a result of the state lockdown imposed by Governor Larry Hogan. The exact number of people waiting nationally for their unemployment benefits is virtually impossible to nail down, partly because of the sheer volume of claims still pouring into overloaded systems. The data are also imperfect. Many states, like New York, decline to share exactly how many claims have been paid or lodged but dubbed pending. I tell you what, I have heard from people saying they applied and never got a thing. And if you remember initially, when millions of people were trying to file back in March, the system crashed. There were people that were trying to get on and couldn't even get a website. So they're not equipped to handle this. They are really struggling bad. So, let me just go down a little. The US Treasury data also points to a vast gap between the benefits owed and those paid, as well as a scramble to catch up with the mounting backlog of payments. In April, the Treasury, which funds the payments made by states, paid out an unprecedented $48 billion dollars in unemployment insurance, according to its own data. Economists at the Brookings Institute, however, calculated that based on the number of claims filed in April, the bill owed that month alone was at least $80 billion dollars in mounting coming into May. The Treasury and states also had to make up for a lag in payments in March. A separate analysis by economists at the Century Foundation, a nonpartisan think tank, found that just 14.2% of the 12 million new workers who filed for unemployment in the month received benefits. System in despair. Yeah, I would say that's right. So let me just go down because it's talking about personal things. Okay. Payments have accelerated in May, but according to Jay Shambaugh, director of the Hamilton Project at Brookings, the tens of billions of dollars in back benefits that are still owed to people speaks to what remains a huge need in an economy rolled by the health crisis and lockdowns. The effectiveness of the fiscal response rolled out in the past 6 weeks remain hard to judge, he said. The federal government has deployed a huge amount of money, and yet we can't say how much of the gap is filling. The shortcomings in the nation's unemployment system aren't just exacerbating consumer cash shortages. The longer people go without enough income, the deeper they sink into debt, leaving them in financial ruts that can take years to dig out. You ain't lying about that. States insist they are doing everything they can in the face of an unprecedented situation. But in some, more than half of applicants are still waiting for their money. Wow. Wow. And, there's a lot of people in here telling their personal stories on how they have been waiting all this time. I think that's a shame. People got to eat, people got to live, people have bills to pay, and the state is just holding up the money because the system is just not made for the mass amounts of people that's on unemployment. So my heart goes out to anybody that is sitting there and waiting. I know how tough that is. I mean, even we have experienced the gaps. There was one payment in the beginning, and then about 3 weeks went by, and there were no more payments. They now are giving, starting the payments up again. So we have even felt the pain of how unemployment is even impacting my household. So my heart goes out to everybody that is still waiting and didn't get nothing. You've been out of work now for 8 weeks and they haven't gotten their act together yet. Wow. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.